Hello everyone, hope you're doing okay, healthy as usual, and everything is good. We're again at Kabbalah concepts, so we'll talk about a very complicated concept today. It's so complicated actually that I couldn't find additional material which is simple enough. Only very advanced stuff that I'm not sure are suitable for this kind of series that we're doing, which is supposed to be something lighter for more like for beginners. So we'll try to explain it without additional materials. Hopefully it will be clear. Feel free to ask questions. Again, it's not such a simple concept, but you can always settle for the shallow explanation. And what is the shallow explanation? Okay, so the concept first of all is in due time, in haste. Okay, so it's like an option between in due time or in haste. And what does it mean? It's a very prominent concept in Kabbalah because it's a result of one realizing his free choice or her free choice or not. Okay, so as we know in Kabbalah, we're talking about one force that we exist in it, we can say, in this field or under its governance or whatever you want to define it, or however you want to define it. But there is one law, and this law is called the Creator, or the quality of bestowal, and this force is actually the root for everything that exists, and it's also the goal of everything that exists in the term or in the aspect that creation, or you can say humans, which is the heart of creation, is born to attain that force, to attain adhesion with his Creator, to what we call in Kabbalah to reveal it, okay? So this is actually the goal of creation, to be similar to that force. And in every single moment, if you ask what is in action, what operates, what works, it's the same law, okay? So we have basically this law, and creation is like Play-Doh that changes according to how it reacts to the force that operates upon it, okay? Good. So in this reality that we described, it's pretty predetermined in a way that in an aspect that from the moment of creation, or from step 0 or 1, it's pretty clear what is going to evolve, or what is going to happen, let's say at step 125. It doesn't really matter how many steps, okay? But everything is pretty predetermined, okay? And we see it in nature. We know that from sperm of an elephant, you cannot have orange trees, okay? So you'll have elephants. How do you draw an elephant? Okay? Or from a seed of a melon, you cannot have a whale, but you'll have a melon, okay? Etc., etc. So, and only towards, even on our own body, we know that we have certain genes and DNA that if we evolve, we're just realizing what the potential or the information that is inside of us, and most of the stuff is genetic, epigenetic. That doesn't really matter, but the information is exists from step 1, okay? But on the conscious level, on the level of humans, we say that we don't know what is this information. So we don't assume that each one of us has some kind of internal pattern or internal information that he or she needs to realize and to be like. So we just flow with life. We go with the flow and we see what happens without any understanding of the process. But of course that if we'll see it in a natural way, we need to assume that just like everything else that evolves in nature, also our inner self needs to evolve. And we have this information inside of us. And moreover, it's pretty predetermined how it needs to evolve. And actually the process of evolution is just a realization of the information that already exists inside of us. Okay? That's like the natural assumption from looking on nature. Okay? So, in this reality, as I've said, it's really hard to talk about free choice. Because if everything is predetermined, I don't do anything. I'm just a result of all the information that is inside of me, and external forces, environment, society, education, media that operates on me. And I'm just like a mirror, I'm just like a result. I have no say in that, I have no free choice. And here actually Kabbalists say, no, you do have a free choice. And this is this concept that we talk about, in due time or in haste, okay? So the free choice you have is not in the process, because as we've said, the process is predetermined, and the information that we have in step one, in the end will be realized. If it will be realized, that information will be realized, okay? It could be that there is some kind of delay. Let's say you take a seed of wheat and put it in Antarctica or something, but in its future state, if it will be developed or evolved to, it will realize the information that it had in potential, okay? Just in action. Good. And so your free choice is just, do you want to hasten this process, or you want to let it happen in due time? Okay, so this is the concept. So in due time is the natural way. So you have one which is undesired way of evolution. And why is that? We'll explain. And the other way is in haste, that you participate in the process, and this is a more desirable method of evolution in which you hasten time. And what is time? And we've touched on that on previous sessions in this series, that time is just an illusion, okay, of our ego, of our five senses. And actually you can look on time, if we're talking about the predetermined steps, you can look on time as a change between states, okay? So you have like the astronomical time, which is the natural time, or what we call in due time, or you can have the human level time, meaning that we can actually fasten the time. And this is something we do all the time in natural process, mainly in agriculture or education. We want to give or create, let's say in a greenhouse, we want to create the optimal conditions, so the entity will hasten its evolution in the optimal process possible, okay? And we do that also in education. So in due time means that we evolve according to the natural process. And now what is the natural process? So if naturally we just have a will to receive, an ego that doesn't want to move, actually it aspires to be in constant rest without any movement. That's the form of balance of our ego. and it only moves if it sees a greater pleasure, or if it's being driven by pain, meaning that for me it's a form of suffering to stay in my current state, and so I'm being pushed forward. And this is called, this process or this method of evolution is called in due time, that I'm not moving until I'm accumulating enough pain, and then this pain forces me to move forward. And if you look on humanity, on the way that humanity evolves, that's usually how it happens. Everybody can complain on a certain state. Everybody complain on a certain state, but they agree to it, that they don't have the motivation to change it, they're too lazy, they have too many things to do. But if you have some kind of accumulation of suffering due to a crisis or some other form of suffering, then you are being pushed forward. And this is the undesired way of evolution, because, as I've said, one, we have to suffer in order to evolve. So we're just moving from one suffering to less suffering until it accumulates, and then we move forward. B, we don't really understand the process. We are just being pushed forward by nature. So it's like being unconscious, or acquiring no understanding of the process. Okay, so we have no understanding. So, for example, you can look on ethics as an example. So we have some kind of ethics, moral things that we know that they're not good to do. For example, to have slaves, or to rape freely whenever you want, or to steal whenever you want, because we know that these things cause greater suffering. But from that, we don't really understand why we shouldn't do that. So if we have the opportunity to do that without being caught, we're doing that. But we don't understand why, according to natural laws, or why nature created us in a way. So we have all kinds of religion justifications. But from not doing something or having a justice system, we don't understand nature better. Okay? Now, what is this process of in haste? So in haste, we don't wait for the suffering to accumulate, but we want to understand and learn what is the possible future state of ours. What is that we need to attain? And in Kabbalah it's very simple, because you want to learn the Kabbalistic sources, because what are the Kabbalistic sources? They were written by people just like you and me, that had some kind of question about nature, about a truth, about a goal of creation, and from that they attained this goal, meaning their future state, and from that state they write to us. So if you practice in trying to understand the future goal, the future you, or the future us, then you want to evolve to that, not because you are being pushed through suffering, but because you are being drawn to that future, to that ideal state. And so this process is called hasting, because in this process we're not suffering, because we are in a joyful way, out of our own free will, we want to attain that future state. And all the time we need to investigate nature and to understand, what does he want from us? Why did he create everything the way he did? Why certain things happen the way they do? And from that constant engagement with reality on a conscious level, asking the questions of why and what for, a person acquires a very high understanding of nature and why it operates the way it does, etc. Okay, so and actually letting nature push us forward. This is option 1, let's say, or taking the realms of evolution and trying to attain the future state ourselves. From these two options, we have free choice. So free choice in Kabbalah, it's not like, what do you want to do in life? What do you want to be when you grow up? No, this is predetermined. All the information is there from step 1. But do you want to attain that out of your free will, coming to this future state, or being pushed by suffering from behind? This is left to you to decide. And this is actually your only free choice. Okay, so this is, as I've said, a bit of an advanced concept, but I hope more or less it was clear. Let's see if we have questions. Hello David, CC, another David, Johan. Yuda is saying suffer, understanding, peace, then love. Well, not necessarily. Like, as I've said, you can go in the path of suffering without acquiring any understanding, or you can try to attempt to go in the path of understanding, of consciousness, and then to try to minimize the suffering. Still, in the end, it will be some kind of combination of the two. Bala Sulam writes about it. But what ingredient will be in a greater portion, it's up to you to decide according to your free choice. Okay, that was it. No people today on the chat on YouTube, just on Facebook. Wonder why? I think because we don't have additional materials, and the materials I found are too advanced, and I don't want to confuse you. I think that the explanation I gave was pretty thorough and hopefully clear, although not so trivial. And I think we'll conclude with that. So stay home, stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully we'll meet here next week as well. Take care. Bye-bye.